problem. Here to respond is our company of lawmakers, North Carolina Congressman and Dr. Greg Murphy, and Tennessee Congressman David Kustoff. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Good to see you both.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Congressman Murphy, I want to start with you. You heard the president there talk about, people supporting infrastructure. I think generally that's probably pretty accurate. Most people who have been driving around the last year realize that we've got some roads and bridges that need to get fixed. But I feel like that's not being honest. We're about to spend trillions of dollars when inflation is on the rise. And frankly, anybody who's been out to a grocery store or a restaurant, you see the signs everywhere. We can't get people to return to work. And now they want to spend another $1 trillion+ dollars. I just think that this is a recipe for disaster.
Well, Sean, I really wish that they would understand, the Democrats would understand economics 101. Well, just think about, sometimes the Republicans have to be the adult in the room. Of course, kids would love candy. Wouldn't we all love candy when we were kids? Yeah. Things that are given away free. We all want that stuff. But then the adults have to realize that you have to pay for it. And the Biden plan wants to tax the hell out of all of us to pay for this nonsense and to pay for things that we talk about infrastructure when the infrastructure really isn't infrastructure, right? I actually submitted a bill earlier this year to actually define what infrastructure meant. It didn't mean childcare. It meant bridges. It meant roads. It even meant broadband. But now, of course, when you give a free giveaway, who doesn't want free things? But we, being the adults in the room, the Republicans, have to figure out and understand that there is a way to pay for it, number one. And two, the reaction from this. And we know it's inflationary pressure. And the fact that Biden made the comment that people would love to have more inflation, give me a break. That's a ridiculous statement.
Right. Absolutely. Congressman Kustoff, the White House is also dismissing that this is a problem that will continue. Are your constituents concerned about the rise of goods and services? What are you hearing from them specifically?
Lindsay, I really am hearing a lot of concern. They're talking about the everyday staples that they buy that are going up. And, I look at the statistics. We all see, last month that the consumer price index was up, I think, 5.4%. year over year. You're talking about increases in food, in energy, in real estate, and it's hitting people hard. And you talk about what I hear from my constituents, those are the ones in their 30s and 40s. There are a lot of them who don't remember what the late 1970s and early 1980s were like. And I think that's the concern of a lot of us in Washington who are voices of the people, that this out-of-control spending that really was created by the Biden administration with this $1.9 trillion plan that all the Republicans, every Republican in the House and the Senate voted against, has caused and contributed to the rise in inflation that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I was telling Lindsay earlier today, I was out at the grocery store, some of the cost of things that normally I didn't really bat an eye at. You're going, holy smokes, that's doubled. Congressman Murphy, I do want to turn to you about this epic exchange that occurred today. You are actually a practicing physician right now that happens to be in Congress. So I want to get your take on this. Dr. Fauci and Senator Rand Paul, I don't think they're exchanging Christmas cards. They had a very heated exchange in the Senate today. Take a listen.
Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly, and I want to say that officially. I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating.
Congressman, just from a medical standpoint, does Dr. Paul have a leg to stand on here?
Well, I think it was very interesting. The other part which you didn't show, basically, Dr. Paul put the definition that Dr. Fauci said of what gain-of-function research is. He put that definition that Fauci himself had previously stated. And then Dr. Fauci said, well, no, that's not the definition. Well, I'm sorry, that's actually the definition of what? A lie. Well, I think it's very interesting. And I had respect for Dr. Fauci before, but the fact that he's now taken medicine and turned it entirely political, he loses any credibility with me personally, and I think he's lost credibility with the American people. There is no doubt in my mind that China was doing gain-of-function research in that Wuhan lab, and this got out, albeit probably by accident. But that's what's led to the epidemic that has literally taken the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans and millions worldwide. And the fact that he won't come up and actually finally come clean with this really is problematic, not only for the American people, his credibility, and for the world really at large.
Congressman Kustoff, I'd like to switch gears with you to something that's become a controversy today. As a Jewish member of Congress, Ben & Jerry's ice cream company is facing a wave of backlash after announcing plans to boycott Jewish settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, or what it's calling occupied Palestinian territory. As a result, there is a Jewish deli in Maryland that is removing Ben & Jerry's products from their store. What's your reaction to all of this?
Leave it to Ben & Jerry's to make ice cream political as it relates to Israel. We all know that Israel is our greatest ally in the Middle East. This shouldn't even be a debate. They shouldn't have started this controversy. They started this controversy deliberately, and you've got the Israeli government now calling out Ben & Jerry's. You've got lawmakers in Washington D.C. calling out Ben & Jerry's. It's a shame. And I liken it to what some lawmakers here on the other side of the aisle have had to say about Israel in the last several months. And I think it's important because when people around the world look to the United States to lead an example, and we need to show strong support for Israel, that they're our leading democracy in the Middle East, and an ice cream company makes it political. It's a real shame. And it's a real dichotomy because you've got a company that actually owns Ben & Jerry called Unilever. But the way they set it up when they sold the company, they let the Ben & Jerry people set up a board to make these types of political statements like they just did here. So it's a real problem for Unilever. I know that they wish that Ben & Jerry had kept their mouths shut, but when everybody's calling out to Ben & Jerry to stop this type of nonsense, I think that the Ben & Jerry folks should listen to them.
Well, I just think we should just stop eating it. Plenty of other really good
You're
brands
right.
out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate the time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you all very much for having us.